Good afternoon, good evening, dear listeners and the audience who are watching us live. You are welcome back to another edition of this week Niger Data Platform. In this week, we'll be discussing on working with Azure Synapse Analytics, and I will be the facilitator of this session. Pukwalaisa Kawanamileka is my name. I am Microsoft Certified Trainer, MCT. Here is my LinkedIn account if you want to know more about what I do. And this is my email address. All right, so as part of this event, it will be very important that you get to know more about what I do. Pukwalaisa is my name, like I mentioned, and I'm the head of data analytics at Renew Solutions. My area of specialization is data platform, which include data engineering, data analytics, and uh, and data analytics. So, like I mentioned, I'm Microsoft certified trainer, MCT. I'm also IT consultant, trainer, and speaker. On this section of the training, I'll be discussing once again on working with Azure Synapse Analytics, which is one of the components of essentials of data engineering. Before we go ahead, I want to use this medium to appreciate our partners who have been our supportive pillar in making this 10-week edition uh, a successful event. And some of them are Microsoft, Jerry Computer Solutions Enterprise. We also have Enterprise DNA and Convener Technology. We want to thank you, our partners, for supporting this course. All right. As regards the subject matter, Azure Synapse Analytics. Somebody who may be interested to know what is Azure Synapse Analytics. From the explanation I have on the screen, Azure Synapse Analytics is a Leibniz analytics service that brings together data integration, enterprise data warehousing, and big data analytics. It gives you the freedom to create data on your terms using either serverless or dedicated options at scale. Azure Synapse brings these words together with a unified experience to ingest, explore, prepare, transform, manage, and serve data for immediate business intelligence and machine learning needs. All right, from this point, there are a lot of components of data analytics, and some of them are what we know as that data ingestion. We also have what we call data exploration. We have data preparation. We have data transformation. We have data management. We have data storage. All these different components of analytics, data analytics, is what are embedded in a typical Microsoft Azure Synapse Analytics. That it is a unified tool that has a what? A limited analytics services that you can think of. Some of the services of analytics include storage, transformation, data preparation, data exploration, data ingestion, and what have you. So these are the things that are embedded inside what? Just one um a service under Azure, which is what? Azure Synapse Analytics. The Azure Synapse Studio offers, so in Azure Synapse Analytics, there's what we call Azure Synapse Studio, where which houses what? The Synapse worksheets. All right. So when we go ahead, we get to know what I mean by worksheet. All right. Um, I mean workspace. Once I go ahead, I will explain the concept. The Azure Synapse Studio offers everything, so you can access the facilities inside Azure Synapse Analytics inside what we know as Azure Synapse Studio. That is the meaning. And in the studio, we have different workspaces inside the studio. So Azure Synapse Studio offers everything in one place. That is data integration, data orchestration, data monitoring, data security. So inside one studio. As another point that we need to know under Azure Synapse Analytics is what we know as as a single service. It brings together components such as, in Azure Synapse Analytics, like I mentioned, it houses all different platforms for data analytics. One of the technologies that we use for analytics is what we call as SQL technologies, which is used for what? Data warehousing. This is a component of Synapse Analytics that is known as what? Synapse SQL or SQL Synapse. There's also another component of technology that is known as what? Spark technologies, which is used for what? Big data. And inside Azure Synapse Analytics, we have this as what? Apache Spark. All right. There are another component that we also have that has been brought together under Synapse Analytics is what we call as pipelines for data integration. In terms of this data integration, we are talking about what? ETL, extract, transform, and load, or ELT, or which was what? Extract, load, and transform. These are kind of transformations. So before the advent of Azure Synapse Analytics, all these different technologies have been on separate. That look, if you are a database administrator, you make use of database or you make use of SQL technologies separately. If you are into big data analytics, you also go for what? Spark technology separately. And if you are what? A data engineer, you also go for what we know as pipelines for data integration. But all these different technologies, they have been embedded into one single component that is now being known as what? Azure Synapse Analytics. Let us proceed. All right. So, since we have known what are the components of Azure Synapse Analytics, it's also important to know what are the key service capability. Later on, I'll be discussing some of the capabilities of the Azure Synapse Analytics, but it's important that we get to know some of the key services of Azure Synapse Analytics. So, we have a unified analytics platform. Yes, Azure Synapse Analytics has given us an opportunity for unified analytics platform. That is a platform where different data data professionals come together. If you're a data analyst, if you're a data engineer, if you're a database administrator, if you're a data scientist, so everybody will now come together under a single platform. That is why we say that Azure has provided a unified analytics platform. Another capability is the enterprise data warehousing. Before now, we have different types of data warehousing, but once we are talking about enterprise data warehousing, we are talking about a large scale configuration of data warehousing that organizations are being used in order to process their data and warehousing their data. So another capability of Azure Synapse Analytics is code-free hybrid data integration. Yes, in Azure Synapse Analytics, there's a less code because if you need to perform any operation, you just click and you see the code being generated, which is not. People that are having background in SQL, that are SQL based administrator will tell you, look, if you don't know about those codes on how to write SQL syntax, don't touch it. So, but with the help of Azure Synapse Analytics, it has reduced drastically writing of codes. In fact, sometimes it is code free. So this is a kind of opportunity that we have in Azure Synapse Analytics. There's also what we call log and telemetrics analytics. It also gives us an opportunity to do this. And there is also what we know as integrated AI. There's also what we call integrated AI. Um, just a minute. Yes, there's also what we call integrated AI. This is another capability that we have seen in Azure Synapse Analytics. Also, serverless and dedicated options. Yes, there's what we call serverless and dedicated options. Serverless is one we know as built-in. Built-in. That is, you allow the system to do the configuration for you. And there's also what we call dedicated option, whether in the side of Apache or SQL. That a dedicated option is that look, we are talking of or we are talking of how can you configure the Azure Synapse Analytics in a manner that gives you power to determine what is what and what is not. And there's also what we call data lake exploration, deeply integrated Apache Spark and SQL engines, choice of language, cloud natives. So these are some of the capabilities, key service capabilities of Azure Synapse Analytics. All right. So another thing that we need to ask ourselves is, why should you look at Azure Synapse Analytics? So we have different data professionals. I've mentioned data scientist, data engineer, database administrator, and also um, database administrator and data analyst. So all these different or data scientists. So all these different categories of people, they may be fine with their tools that they are using at their own end, but somebody may look, I am a database administrator, I'm fine with SQL, so why do I have to go for something else? But this is where we have to understand that why should you look at Azure Synapse Analytics? One advantage is that endless possibilities with just a few clicks, the high flexibility and compatibility, the single user interface for the entire management and control. So these are the possibilities of what you can achieve. That you can do a lot of integrations that everybody have to work together. You are an engineer, we can work on the same space. You are a scientist, we can work on the same space. We are a database administrator, we can work on the same space, and without leaving the integrations of what has brought us together. All right. So now, what are the areas of applications of Azure Synapse Analytics? We have in engineering, it helps us in data integration. It also in terms of big data and operational analytics, we are using free code and code first data integration tools available directly from your Synapse analyst for your Synapse workspace. The analytics on operational data with Azure Synapse Leaks. So these are the advantages that we have on each one of the areas of application. We have application area in terms of data engineering. We also have application area in terms of big data and operational analytics. We also have application in the area of data science and predictive analytics, also in the areas of optimized data warehouse workload for business intelligence and reporting. We'll be looking at this. All right, so I have prepared this section to be more of what of hands-on than theoretical. So that's why I have very few slides in terms of theoretical, and also have more to say in terms of hands-on. I'm a technical person. Don't mind me. I like showing hands-on than talking more about theories. So in this demo that I've prepared, we'll be looking at exploring the capabilities of Azure Synapse Studio, and some of the learning objectives in this hands-on will be how to create a Synapse Analytics workspace, exploration of a Synapse workspace interface in terms of hubs, knowledge center, galleries, and a host of others. They're using preloaded public data sets. We also have what we call data ingestion. We also have what we call creating a database table in data lake. Then lastly, we'll be looking at integrating Power BI workspace into Azure Synapse Analytics. So depending on the time that we have, we'll be looking at all these possibilities as what as our demo. All right, so let me try to share my my screen so that you can see some of the things that I have been talking about. Um, all right, So we have Azure. We have what we call Microsoft Azure, and under Microsoft Azure, let me project Microsoft Azure. All right, so this is Microsoft Azure. This is a Microsoft Azure. I think you can see the Microsoft Azure. Okay, so in the Microsoft Azure, we have in the Microsoft Azure we have what we call a lot of services in the Microsoft Azure. And these services, these services are so numerous that we can make use of. And if you want to work with Azure Synapse Analytics, you have to start from what? Microsoft Azure. And how do you start from Microsoft Azure? You log into the portal. The portal is www. What is a web portal? We have a www.portal.azure.com. So if I launch my home, this comes up, and these are different services that we have. So, but out of all these services, what we are interested in is what? Azure Synapse Analytics. So we can see that I have Azure Synapse Analytics that is up here for me to see, but sometimes it may not come up like that. You may need to search for it, and that's where you go to the search bar by writing Synapse. Immediately I type Synapse, related terms came up. We have what we call Azure Synapse Analytics, and that is where I am going to. So I click on Synapse Analytics. Now this one is telling me that what do I want to do? Do I want to do I want to create do I want to create what? Do I want to create Synapse Analytics? As at now, I only have one, which is this one. This is PIO. I use a PIO as the abbreviations of my names. Upola Isakaola Mileka as PIO workspace one, which I've created already. So if there's a need for me to create another one, I click on create, and by the time I click on create, for instance, now, if you don't have, if you have not created anything before that, it means that you have to start from the create. So from the create, then because for you to use Synapse and Azure Synapse Analytics, you have to go to what? You have to make use of. You have to create a workspace, and a workspace reside inside what? Azure Studio. We'll get to Azure Studio later. But how do we create Synapse workspace? This is what we are talking about. All right. So two things are very important for you to have before you can create Synapse Analytics. The first one is that you must have a subscription. A subscription is just like it's just like a tenant that okay, look, you want to you want to have some services that are not free, so you have to pay for the service. So but because I'm a MCT, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, so I have some sponsorship Azure Pass courtesy of the Microsoft. So my subscription is Azure Pass. In your case, you have to have these uh this subscription. So if you don't have subscription, you will not be able to perform this service. You will not be able to make use of what you will not be able to make use of Synapse Analytics because it is not free. Another thing that you need to know that before you can create a Synapse workspace is that you must have what we call resource group. Now, if you don't have already existing resource group, you have to create new. But in my case, I don't want to create new. I have existing resource group. If I scroll to this arrow, I can see that, okay, I have this as a resource group. I have this as a resource group. But if I want to create, I would prefer to use this my RG1, which is resource group one. Now, I'm fine with subscription, which is Azure Pass sponsorship. I'm also fine with a resource group. And, in case of your own, you may need to have subscription on your own and also to have resource groups. These are more fundamentals about what we call is the 900. That is understanding the concept of Azure. What is subscription? What is a resource group? What are the difference between them? How do we make use of them? So I may not be able to go into those details because this is another course entirely, which is a 900. All right. So after I've provided the subscription and resource group, I come to where I have details of my workspace. The first one is what is a workspace name. So if I have to type, maybe I want to, the one I have is a PIO workspace one. Maybe I want to have another one, PIO again, workspace, maybe two. I want to create two. Meanwhile, there's a checking, there's a check that is going on, invalidating or what you are inserting for for space name. All these things must be all this process, all these conditions must be met before you can, before the workspace name can be accepted. So since we have seen all of them marked, it means that this workspace name have certified all the criteria that has to be fulfilled before it can be accepted. This one is about region. That is, where do I want my data to be located? By default, it is US, East US. And thereafter, I also go to, I want to leave the default. Thereafter, I go to what we call account name. By default, Synapse Workspace work on Azure Data Lake Gen 2. There are different data storage media for data on what, on Azure. But for Synapse Analytics Workspace, it makes use of a default data storage, which is known as what, Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So by default, we have to provide the name. By now, if you don't have anything in existence, you come to create new, and in creating new, you type the name. Maybe I want to call it my data lake 1. Maybe I want to call it data lake 1. It is also checking the storage account name. Data lake 1 is already taken, so I can't use that one. I have to look for another one. Maybe I want to call it PIO data lake data lake 2. So that one is also checking. So you can see now that it is marked, that is, this name is not existing for a data lake storage gen 2. So I click on OK. Right after that, I also proceed that I have to give a file system name. File system name is like a container, and a container is just like a folder, like when we are talking like a normal folder, a normal file folder. So but in Azure, especially under data lake, we refer to folder as what, as we refer to folder as what, as container. So this file system name is like a container, and we have to give it a name. I want to call this one demo. I want to call it demo demo demo, maybe as Synapse demo. Synapse. I want to call it Synapse demo. All right. It's also accepted. So since it is ticked, I also click on OK. All right. By now, I've provided all the information needed under basic. All these are basic information. I can also go to security. The next thing is to go to security. If I have anything to change there, I also configure it, but I want to leave everything by default. Networking, I also have to leave it by default. Tag, I want to leave it by default. Then I go to review and create. By review and create, it is looking for everything that I have provided, information that I have provided, whether it contravenes the guidelines for creating Synapse Analytics. So for Synapse Workspace, if it doesn't, you see, validation succeeded. That is, everything that I have chosen, then they are being accepted. They are being accepted. So by now, I can now click on create. So if I click on create, it will take some time to create. But because I have created one in order to save time, I will make use of the one that I have created. So in your own case, you have to click on create, and it's allow it to process. Say validation is succeeded. So if some validation is not succeeded, it means that some things that are wrong, then you have to go back and check those things. But for me, validation succeeded. So I just have to click on what? Create. And I allow it maybe like 2-3 minutes to process, and assure is being assure Synapse workspace is being created. So for me, I have one already. I would like to make use of that in order to save time. So once you click on create, we now come to something like this. So what we have used your Synapse workspace name to be. So in my own case, I use a PIO workspace 1, and that is why it has created for me. So I mentioned that I would like to use the one that I've created. So these are some of the properties of the workspace that I've created. And my interest is to make use of what? Is to make use of Synapse Analytics. And where do we start? The first thing is to create what? To create workspace. Is to create Synapse workspace. And thereafter, you now come to after you have created it, you now go there. The way I went there the other time, that I click on this, I now see this interface. Now you now go to what? you now go to what Synapse Studio, because it is inside Synapse Studio that you do all the operation. Under Azure platform, you can only create a workspace, which is Synapse Workspace. But if you want to work inside the studio, which is the main domain of the operations that you are looking at, you have to launch what? You have to click on Open, which is Open Synapse Studio. So I click on Open Synapse Studio. I click on Open Synapse Studio, and it is launching. Um, let me show that. Just a minute. So you will see it now. Let me just project it, which is a Azure Work Studio, Synapse Analytics Studio. I hope you can see it now. You can see the Synapse Studio, and I hope you can see the Synapse Studio that has come up. All right, this is a Synapse Studio, and in Azure Synapse Studio, in Azure Synapse Analytics Workspace, there are a lot of things that you can do. There are a lot of things that you can do. If you another one of the if you look at if you look at our demo, we said one, how to create a Synapse Analytics workspace, which I have created inside what? Inside the Azure portal. The second one is that the second one under demo is how do we now do exploration, the interface. What are the different interfaces that we have in the Azure Synapse Studio? One, if you look up, there's what we call Synapse Analytics, and I am on what? I am on PIO Workspace 1. That is workspace name. And apart from that, there is what we call updates in case anything has been done recently. There's also what we call switch workspace. This one is a PI workspace one. Maybe I have more than one, maybe I have two. And along the line, I want to leave what I'm doing in workspace one to workspace two or any other one. This is where I can switch. There's also what we call show notification. Notification is just to tell you that maybe you have performed an operation and something has come up as a result of what you have done. Then you get notified what has come up. There is also setting, and this icon is for help on information. Maybe you have anything to share with Microsoft. Maybe you encounter some challenges or you need some help. And there's also what we call a feedback. This one is just a feedback. And apart from that, there's also what we call, if you look at this, you can expand this site and you get to know some other things that are embedded in the Synapse Studio. Now, this, if you look at this sites, the left hand side from home to manage, we call them ops. This is the we are in the home page, and inside the home page we get to know about we'll be having information. We are on the home page up. We have home page up, we have data up, we have develop up, we have integrate up, we have monitor up, we have manage up, like we do have in the Microsoft applications like Excel or Microsoft Office, that we have something we call menu, right? Like we call it them menu. So, but inside Azure Synapse Analytics, instead of being called menu, they are being called what? They are being called ops. So we have home, up, we have data, we have develop, we have integrate, we have monitor, we have manage. So we try to see what each one of them is doing. We are, by default, we are on the home. We are on the home up, and from the home you can see that we have ingest, we have what we call explore and analyze. We also have what we call what? We have what we call visualize. We have what we call visualize. For the ingest, what the ingest does is that you want to bring in data. That's data ingestion. You want to bring data maybe from somewhere, maybe the data that is located somewhere that is not part of the workspace. You can do data ingestion. You can also do explore and analyze. Maybe you want to read more about data insights and some other details. That's what we call visualize. That visualize, we come back to it. You can see the symbol of Power BI. That is, This visualize will help you in case you want to integrate your Power BI into your workspace. That is a Synapse Analytics workspace. Under this home tool, we can also see what we know as what knowledge center. There's what we call knowledge center. Can we click on knowledge center? When you look at knowledge center, there are a lot of information that you can see. It is giving information about what use samples immediately, browse gallery, tour Synapse Studio, just depending on anything you want to do. Let me go back to the home. We also have what we call explore. If you click on this explore, it will take you to another website which has more details about what you can do in terms of tutorial. So it will just take you to tutorial about this. But if you click on visualize, like I mentioned, visualize will connect you to what? Will connect you to your Power BI. But this is not what we want to do at the moment. We are just doing the exploration. And we have browse partner. Browse partner, they are third party applications that are, that Microsoft has taken note of them, and they have been embedded into the operations and capabilities of Synapse Analytics workspace. All right. If you scroll down, there's also what we call recent resources. Recent resources has to do with the last operations that you have done. Like for instance, now today you can see 10 hours ago I worked on what? I worked on SQL script 1. 10 hours ago I worked on SQL script 2. 9 hours ago I work on this, I work on this, I work on this. So this is just to give you an idea of the recent operations that you have done. Maybe for instance, you need to go there quickly instead of navigating everywhere in the interface. You can just go there. And these are some other things that you can see under what? Under the under the home. All right. So if you leave home, if you leave home, you go to data hub. All right, in the data hub, we have two sides of data hub. We have what we call workspace, and we have what we call link service. Please take note. We have what we call workspace, and we have what we call link service. And there is a plus on top. This plus is to add a new resources, whether on the workspace or on the what? On the link services. So these are the two operations that you can do under data. You can have your data from the workspace, like I was mentioning about Power BI workspace the other time, or you can have your data from the what? Link services. Maybe you have some storage somewhere and you want to link that storage, that data storage into the operations as a data ingestion into the data hub. All right. So, but for instance, now we have a lake database. We have lake database, and we have what? SQL database. For the SQL database, I have worked on what? I've worked on content SQL database. I've also worked on what? Database 1. But if you have not done that before, this one will be empty. There will be nothing under the workspace. There will be nothing under the workspace if you have not done anything before. But because I've done some work, that's why I have links out. So, for instance, now if you want to create one, if you want to create a workspace, how do you go about? You come to this plus sign and you add resources. What are you looking at? Do you want to create database, SQL database, or you want to create what? Lake database? Or you want to do what? Or you want to go to the browse gallery? I've mentioned the browse gallery the other time. These are preloaded. These are preloaded data set, public data set that you can make use of. Let us exploit public data set. All right, these are the galleries. From the galleries, we have what? We have database templates. We have database templates that are according to industry. We have the agriculture, we have automobile, we have banking, we have consumer goods, we have energy, and also for that. These are database templates that have been done before. So now we also have what we call data sets. These are public data sets that are available that you can make use of as samples, maybe to do your work. Like this one, COVID-19 data. For instance, now let me close this and let us explore. For data lake, we have 4. We just only have 4 databases. Under the SQL database, we only have what? We only have 2. which is a contact and DB1. Let me try to add one. Let me try to add one from a browse gallery. My interest maybe is a COVID. We just the word just left the word of COVID. Let me look at COVID data. I click on the COVID, that is my data set of interest. I also click on what? I also click on continue. From the continue, I see the preview of what the data is all about. We have the ID, we have the updated time, and a lot of column headers. Let me click on add data set, and for you to see how it is being added, you can see that the link service will be the same. Now, can you see that before now, this Azure, this Azure blob data storage was not there. It was only Azure data lake storage Gen 2 and the integration data set that we are having. But now it is now working, it is now coming as what? A lake service. Can you see? The other time I was talking about workspace. I was talking about workspace, right? So, but what the data that we have, we are trying to ingest now is coming from what? From the link service. And that is why, oh, let me do it again. It has gone. Or is it there? Okay, it is there. So from under link service, this one has been added because the data that I've checked for, which is on what? On COVID-19, is what? Is from, it has a storage under what? Azure Blob storage. So there are a lot of what? There are a lot of storage platform that data are being located. So, but the one that I've gone for, it has been stored under what? Under Azure blob storage. All right. So now, um, another thing is that when we have our data that are located here, for instance, now, if you have not ingested data from blob storage, this one will not be there. And for instance, now, maybe if I don't need this again, I can click on this arrow, or maybe I don't need this again. I can click on this and I click. I can click on this and I click. If I want to see the content of this, I can just click on this and see, okay, I want to see this. Now, can you remember this aspect of Azure Synapse Analytics? You have to be good. You have to be good in SQL, in T-SQL, in writing T-SQL. If you are not good in writing T-SQL, there may be a lot of challenges you may encounter along the line. I want to check. I want to check the details because by default of Synapse Analytics, it works on the SQL at the back end in running the query. It depends on the SQL in running the query. And if I want to run this query, what I've suggested is that I want to check the top 100 in this row because I've ingested the data that is COVID-19, but I have not seen it. My interest now is now to see it. So which I have selected that, okay, look, give me new script, and from the new script, give me what? Top 100 rows. Now it has given me this top 100 rows. Now I want to run it. You click on what? You click on the run. By the time you click on the run, it's now performed the operation, and for now it's giving us what? It's giving us incorrect syntax near something. There's an incorrect syntax somewhere. Let me click on run again. Okay, right. Now it has loaded. Can you now see that everything that is inside that data, we can now see it? You understand? So it is now that we can now see it. Now, immediately I have done this. This is table. If you need to do chart, you go to this chart and do your what? And do your plotting. Maybe you want to look at how the increment in the COVID occurred. Can you see the increment from ground zero to this almost 8 million? But my interest is about the table that I want to see. I want to do exploration about the table so that I can know what I embedded in that COVID-19 data. Maybe for instance now, I want to know the number. Maybe this was just to select the top 100, and maybe it is more than 100. So I want to know the number of rows that are available this data set. So this is why I said that you have to be good in SQL. You must know how to write SQL before you can, before you can maximize the advantage of this platform. All right. So now there's also an operation that is called what? Can't. There's an operation that is called can't. Maybe I want to know the number of what? I want to know the number of rows that are available in the data set. The number of rows that is available in the data set. I also click on run. The other one was to do exploration to see the number of the columns that we have. Can you see that we have how many digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 4 million rows. Can you imagine that? We have 4 million rows, 4,046,730 rows. Can you see that? In less than 10 seconds, we get to know the details. So there are a lot of operations which are SQL based. Honestly, you can't run away from SQL, from understanding the concept of SQL, because that is where the real work is located. All right. No, and after I've performed this operation, maybe I can also give it what I can also give it a name. That is SQL for what? SQL for showing count. SQL for showing row count, row count, row count. You see that? Maybe that is my name. And if I want to save this, I will just click on what? Publish. So anytime you perform an operation and want that operation to be stayed, you have to do what? You have to click on publish. So as many operations that you have performed, it will be counting it. The only operation that I've just performed is just one that I've not published. That okay, this operation that has been done, do I want to do what? Do I want to publish or not? Before I publish it, let us look at develop. Can you see that under develop, immediately that I'm trying to publish, it's coming up with what? SQL for showing row count. If I click on publish, this one it will now stay. But if I don't need it again, I'll just ignore it. That I will just not do what? I will just not publish. But because I may need it again, let me just publish it. And it's giving me, do you want to publish this? Yes, publish. By publishing means that it will now come under SQL script, that maybe next time if I need it, it will not be there. So publishing completed. So as at now, I have what? I have a publish script. So this is the script. So this is the script that I've done before now. Because it was published, that's why I can see it now. If it is not published, honestly, I cannot see it. All right. So what is important again that we need to know? We also need to know that there's what we call develop. Develop is where we are working with a kind of operations that, what are the activities you want to carry out. If you click add resources, there are a lot of development that you can do. You can do SQL script, you can do KQS script, you can do notebook, we can do Apache, you can look at what? Browse. We just browse the other time. You can look at browse. So maybe I want to perform another script now. I can look at scripts. And in this script, is asking me, you have to be good at a script. For instance, now, do I have um my SQL server running? I could have shown you an interface. My SSM Studio, that SQL Server Management Studio. So you have to make use of it, maybe to perform some operations. Immediately that I've created this, can you see that on top, publish all? That is, I've performed an operation that I've not published. That is why it is coming up. So if I don't need it, I will just do what? I will just delete it, because I don't need it. So I just don't need it. So that's why I just deleted it. Okay. All right. So for a lot of operations that we do, I mentioned that they are more under what? They are more under SQL. They are more under SQL operation. Let me just show you an interface of a SQL. Let me stop this screen and show you the interface of a SQL, so that you can have an idea of how SQL interface look like. Just a minute. Just a minute. Let me show you a SQL interface. Okay, this is a SQL, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. You have to be good at this. If you are not good at this, honestly, you have challenges in making use of what? In making use of in making use of what? In making use of Synapse Analytics workspace, because the back end for running the analytics is what? It's written in SQL. So there's no way you have to perform an operation, it will be run in SQL, whether in SQL pool, because analytics pool are just about three. We have SQL pool analytics, we have SQL pool analytics, we have Apache Spark analytics, and that's what we call Data Explorer, also pool analytics. So there's no way you want to run out away from it. For instance, now these are databases that I have, and these are what? These are tables. These are tables. We have I have Adventure Works as my database name. I have this table. For instance, now if I want to show the content of this table, I just like click. I select what? Select top 100 rows, and the operation is being performed. So for me to see this operation being performed, I will have written this code. But these codes are not being written. That's what we call less code or no code or code free in the Synapse Analytics. For you to generate this, you have to write this code out before you can get the result. But in the Synapse Analytics, it is less emphasis. Oh, uh, you have not seen the Synapse the SQL. Hold on, let me show the SQL again. I thought you saw the SQL. Let me share the screen and show you the SQL. Um, where is the SQL? All right, just a moment. All right, so this is the SQL. I hope you can see the SQL. Yes, this is the SQL interface that I was referring to. Uh, you can see that we have you can see that uh, we have um, we have a database. We have a database which is AdventureWorks. We also have different what? We have different tables inside. Maybe if I want to show the content of these products, I just click on this. I select top 100, and you see the details as the case may be. But all these are being less emphasized inside what? Inside Synapse Analytics. All right. Um, what else do we need to look at in our demo? Um, yes, how can we analyze data in a storage? You know, the storage media, the default storage, the default data storage for Synapse Analytics is what? Azure Data Lake Gen 2. All right, if for any reason you have to work on your existing data, let me drop this. If for any reason you have to work on existing data, um, just a moment. Let me go back to. Uh, let me share the screen. Let me share the screen um, of okay, okay, of the workspace. All right. So um, I have a screen of the workspace. So now, if for any reason you have to, um, work on existing data that is being stored inside what? Inside, inside the data lake. So we have to go back to our Azure Studio, and where are they located? Where is the data located? Okay, before I even go to that, let me finish exploring all the ops. I've mentioned about develop. There's also what we call integrate. Integrate has to do with what? With pipeline. That's what we call pipeline. If I don't need this, I can close this, I can close this. Let us try to explore the pipeline. So in the pipeline, we also use it for what? ETL. If you can remember from the start of this session, I made mention about what? ETL. That is, we have pipelines that we make use of ETL for. That is extract, transform, and loading, or extract, load, and transform. So these are the different activities that you can do. Maybe you want to do what? You are having this pipeline. This is just an introduction, because it's a very deep concept. We are talking about uh, pipeline in data engineering. It's one of the big concepts in data engineering. I'm not going into deep. I'm just introducing the terms to us, and the and some tips. So now, if I want to copy data, or I want to do what? Transform. So this is kind of transformation that I can do. If I want to perform an operation on this, these are different functions that I can perform. These are different data lake activities that I can do. So this is the pipeline name, copy pipeline. I did this one a few minutes ago, and because of the time, I may not be able to go back to it. All right. So there's also what we call monitor. What monitor does is that it gives you information about what you have done. Maybe the operation was successful, or the operation was not successful. For instance, now, if you click a SQL pool, under SQL pool, what have you done? It will come up, it's loading. We are working on built-in. So it's telling me I'm working on built-in. There are two types of SQL pool. We have built-in and we have dedicated. I will tell us how we can get dedicated. There's also what we call Apache. That is, under Apache, I've not done anything on Apache. There's also what we call SQL request. Have I made any request under SQL today? Yes, these are the requests that I've made. In this case, I was trying to select what? To select count. I want to know the count. Have I done any other thing? So these are the SQL requests that I have done. KQL, I've not done anything on KQL. And if you allow it to load, can you see that I've not done anything on it? These are different analytics and different monitor that you can do on any operations. That's also what we call manage up. Under manage up is also telling us some of the things that we have done. For instance, now this is SQL pool, this is Apache, and this is what? This is what? For me, for SQL, this is for SQL pool. What we are working on is what? Is built in. Another type of another type of what SQL pool is what we call what? Is what we call dedicated. Let me quickly create a dedicated. Under dedicated, the power of you have control over the resource power. You have control over the resource power. But in terms of the serverless, let me cancel this. Let me cancel this. There's what we call serverless. We call serverless SQL pool. Serverless SQL pool is the same thing as what? As built-in. In this case, you are allowing automation. That is, any operation you want to run on, you allow the system to do the automation, and once you are done with it, you will not be charged. But in terms of, if you want to create a dedicated, under this dedicated, maybe I want to call it a SQL pool 1, which is dedicated. Can you see that? New name dedicated. Then performance level, I want to leave it at D100. I can increase it if I so wish, but I want to leave it at default, which is what? Uh, which is 1,000. Then can you see the cost? Estimate cost per hour. I'll be using $15 per hour. It's too much for me. Let me reduce it to 100. 100. So it means the estimate is that I'll be using what? $1.51 per hour. All right. So that's my cost estimate. I click on review, and validation successful. I click on create. They're also submitting the request to deploy. Submitting request to deploy, it means that I'm trying to create what? I'm trying to create a dedicated pool. I'm trying to create a dedicated pool. Has the operation been successful? Yes, it is deploying. Can you now see that before I was having built-in under SQL pool, but now I'm having what? I'm having built-in and SQL pool. Wow. This one is dedicated. This one is serverless, and this one is dedicated. In this dedicated, that is, I'm the one that is determining the the resources that the SQL pool should make use of. But in terms of the built-in, it is the system that is automating the operation. So then how do we now create? There's also what we call this one is deploying. I may not need to wait. Let me quickly look at Apache Spark Pool. There's also Apache Spark Pool. If I need to create another one, if I need to create it, I click on create, like the way I created for SQL, dedicated SQL pool. You can also create inside here. So maybe the name is a Spark, maybe Spark one, and I want to leave everything by default. There I go to what, review and create, and validation successful. Then I click on what, and click on create. So this operation is ongoing, submitting the request for deployment. And you can remember for this, so once the operations are done, I'll get a notification from this side that submitting the request to deploy is ongoing, deploying is ongoing, and once it is done, then we can now look at it. Can you see that Spark 1 is loading? Spark 1 is loading. All right, so another thing that I promised to do is how can we integrate? How can we integrate? Before we integrate, how can we analyze data in a storage? How can we analyze data in a storage? For instance, now this is where our data is located, and I've mentioned that the default for the storage is what, is um is a Azure data lake. Is Azure data lake. All right. So, and the primary where we have the data being stored. Let me close this. I don't need this. I'm working on storage. This is where my primary data is being stored. This is where my primary data is being stored. So if for any reason you want to analyze a data in a storage, this is a storage, which is a container, like I mentioned the other time. I name my own as what? Can you see the deployment of Spark 1 is successful? We'll go there later. So now we have this, we have Synapse. These are the different data that I have. If for any reason I want to upload another data, I will just there are two ways I can upload another data. Is either I come from here, I locate where data is located, whether it is on desktop, whether it is anywhere, I locate it, or I go back to my what? I go back to my Azure portal. I go back to my Azure portal and other storage. I also, I also come to my container. This is the first container, which is primary. And for instance, now maybe this is the data that I want to explore, because we are talking about how can we analyze data in a storage. Maybe this is the data that I have. How can we see what is inside it? All right, I want to run a new SQL pool. I've mentioned it. The way you can enjoy Azure Synapse Analytics is to have knowledge about SQL, about how to make use of this SQL, how to make use, which I showed the interface to you, my SQL Server Management Studio the other time. So I click on this. Once I click on this, I click on what? I click on run. This is a way for me to to have an idea, to do what we call ATA, exploratory data analysis, to have information about what are the components or what are the content of my data. Where we what we just did is to explore what, to conduct analysis on what, on to conduct data exploration on existing data set, which is located under my file system. Okay. All right. The last thing that I also plan to take us through is how can we integrate our Power BI? How can we integrate our Power BI into and that will be the last thing that we do. So how can we integrate our Power BI into our um, Synapse Analytics? Okay, if you look at this home, I mentioned about visualize. All right, so if I click on visualize, it's telling me that look, uh, what do you want to do? You want to connect to a Power BI, and that Power BI, what name do you want to give it? Do I want to give him the default name, or I want to give it another name? So let me leave the default Power BI Workspace 1. And where is the tenant? The tenant is what I'm making use of now, because there could be different tenants. Can you see different tenants that I have? I have one tenant here, I have one tenant here, but the one I want to make use of is this default tenant. Then what is workspace name? That is that's my workspace. What is the name? Oh, maybe if you don't have idea about Power BI, if you don't have idea about Power BI workspace, let me quickly take you through just like 1 minute. Um, Power BI workspace, just like 1 minute. Let me take you through Power BI workspace. Let me stop sharing this, and let me stop sharing this and share the Power BI workspace for you to know how it looks like. Just 1 minute. Share screen. Share screen. They want to show the Power BI. Okay, fine. I'm sure the Power BI is showing by now. And this is a typical example of what? Of this is a typical example of what? Of a Power BI Power BI Power BI workspace. Now, if I want to link this Power BI workspace into my Synapse Analytics, what it means that anytime I want to make use of my Power BI, this is one of the advantages of this is one of the advantages of what? Of a of a um of a Synapse Analytics, that we can integrate so many things that are independent before. Like if I'm a data analyst, my core application or my core technology of data visualization is what is Power BI. So I may say no. I'm a data analyst. So and my tool is what Power BI. Look, we are saying look, Azure can 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 make things easier for you if we are converging everything that you have into the Azure Synapse Analytics. So, for instance, now these are the things that I have. For instance, I have different operations that I've done, like this Power BI competition. Let me show you the Power BI competition. I want to show you the reports. This is how the reports look like. So this is the first page. This is the first page. Where is the second page? Let me scroll down. Another page is yes visualization. Another page is what? No visualization. All right. So the idea is that how can we integrate everything in a in a Azure Synapse Analytics workspace? So let me take you back. Since we have seen this, you have an idea of how Power BI workspace looks like. So now let me take you to uh, the Synapse Studio again. Let me stop sharing this. Let me share the what? Let me share um let me share the workspace. Yes, let me share the workspace. All right, I want to believe you can see the workspace. Just a minute. Okay, this is the workspace. You can see the workspace. Now the idea is that I want to integrate. I want to get what I've taken you to just a moment ago into what? Into uh into the workspace. Into the workspace. No, let me share the workspace first. Just a moment. I want to share the workspace. Power BI workspace. Yes, we can now see the workspace now. All right. So we can now see the workspace now. And the idea is that I want to integrate this. I want to integrate this workspace into Power BI workspace into Synapse Analytics Work Studio. Now I've selected the tenant. What is the workspace name? If you can remember, the workspace name is what? Is this? And now I want to do what? I want to do create. So Power BI Workspace One link service has been created. Okay, how do I see it? If I go to data, can you remember under our data? I don't need this again. I don't need this again. I mean discussing this. I don't need this again. I'm also discussing it. Can you remember that under develop that before now there was no Power BI because I've never integrated Power BI. But now I've integrated Power BI. And now that I've integrated Power BI, it's not telling me that under Power BI, I have a workspace that is known as what? Power BI Workspace 1. if you have as many as possible as Power BI workspace, this is how all of them will come up. And under this one, I have what? I have Power BI data set. I have Power BI data set. I also have what? These are different data sets that we saw just recently inside inside what? Inside the Power BI workstation, Power BI workspace. These are the reports. These are the reports that if I want to show any report, I can just click on anyone. Oh, just not the other time I was showing you Power BI competition. Let me just display the competition. Just let me display the competition. You will see it exactly as it appears on the workspace. Can you see? Exactly as it appeared on the workspace. Let me minimize this. I also minimize this. Then I have this background information like the one I showed to you. I have this yes visualization. I also have this what? No visualization. So if there's any need for me to do any changes about this, I can just expand my filter. I can expand my visualizations. I can also expand my vid and also do a lot of work that I can do with this. So these are all the reports that I have. Now, another thing that we can do is that if you want to create a new, these are existing reports. If you want to create a new report, you go to Power BI data sets and you look at which one of the data set you want to create a new report from. Maybe you want to create a new report from Power BI competition that we are looking at. You click on what? New report BI. So if you don't want this one to be here again, if you want this data set to appear again, you click on what? You click on delete data set. So you click on delete data sets. So, but if you want to do any new things, you just click on this and a new report is being generated. Can you see a new report that is being generated? So at this time, you can now do a lot of things that you can do normally if you are working on maybe Power BI desktop or Power BI service. So there are a lot of things that we can do. So because I have sentiment for data analytics, that's why I've shown you the side of what? The side of how we can make use of Power BI as part of our demo for today. So this is how far we have been able. So I have been able to take you through some of the operations that are available. Some of the operations that are available in the what? In the Azure Synapse Analytics, vis-a-vis what we can do with it and how best we can take advantage of that. So I want to strongly believe that we really enjoy this session, and that some of the things that we have covered is to explain some theoretical background about Synapse Analytics and also take you through some of the capabilities, hands-on capabilities of Azure Synapse Analytics. In the subsequent editions of this training, we'll be looking at some other areas where we can maximize the advantage of Azure Synapse Analytics. So I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for being with us. So another week is another fantastic episode of the training. Uh, I want to thank you for being part of this session. Before I forget, uh, we have our link for for some of our platforms. Um, you can see what is trending. This is our link for some of our platform. We are on Twitter. The Data platform is on Twitter, it's on LinkedIn, it's on YouTube. So for a lot of videos that we have created, you can go to our YouTube, you can meet us there. So until next time, when we shall be looking at another topic by somebody else, and I want to thank you for your time. Thank you and God bless. Bye bye.